nobody on pole position then for round 28 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. 15 laps are ahead of us. You've got Dan Cammish, who has got 3 laps worth of boost. Dan Rowbottom with 5 laps of boost lining up with him then. So lights go red. Let's get race day underway because the engine notes rise, the lights go out, we go racing. And who makes the best of the starts? It is going to be Cammish, but a good getaway by Chilton then to get up alongside Rowbottom on the run down towards Paddock. He's ahead of him as well as Rowbottom gets Adam Morgan into the back of him. Jake Hill comes next. Robo switches sides and tries to get alongside Chilton on the run up the hill. Chilton doesn't give him a huge amount of room, but Rowbottom stands his ground on the inside line. It's Dan Cammish in the lead. It's Dan Rowbottom second ahead of Chilton, then Morgan, then Hill, and Ingram is next.
Yeah, formation start at the front. The 2 Napa Fords getting away very nicely. Ingram trying, of course, to stay out of trouble as much as possible.
He needs to try to outscore Sutton by a further 12 points to win the championship in this race, and he's had a very good first couple of corners. Sutton's in the body of the field, desperately trying to push forward as the cars accelerate down towards Hawthorns. Look at this, Ingram is on the attack. He's not just banking points, he's going for it.
Yeah, and Sutton has been sort of caught up in that block of cars immediately behind. Oh, puncher for Jake Hill, left front.
Driver on that one for Jake Hill down at Hawthorn. He gets the car around the corner, but that's going to be another WSR BMW in the pit lane. Daryl DeLeon is still there as you go on board with Ash Sutton, who, if anything, looks like he's been shuffled back in the queue rather than going forward.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out for him on lap 1, despite his aggressive start, but strange to see a puncture on lap 1 for Jake Hill. He started on the medium tyre as well.
So was there contact that caused it? We'll try and unravel it as the leaders come now down towards the vehicle bridge at Clearways into Clark Kerr for the first time. Dan Cammish trying to get away. Double winner this year, third in the championship. His big rival for that third place, Jake Hill, in strife, and the other big rival is Dan Rowbottom, and he's in second place. Third over the line is Chilton. Fourth is Morgan. Up to fifth already is Ingram. Demon first lap. Okay, he gained a place with the dramas for Jake Hill, but even so, he's pushing forward. In sixth is Charles Rainford. Gordon Shedden is seventh, and Dan Lloyd is already 8th from 15th on the grid on the soft tyre. Sutton is 9th. He has gone forward in fairness, and Moffat's 10th.
Well, Sutton and Ingram started on the medium tyre, so it's not as though Ingram's had the advantage of that to make gain places. As further back we see this move coming up the inside, and Ash Sutton trying to buy into it as well. That's Lloyd up another place, and Sutton can't get through on Shedden.
Absolutely, so Lloyd making really good progress. Remember, he was the second place of the independents on the grid. He's put himself ahead of Chris Smiley, so it's been a really good first couple of laps by Dan Lloyd. Smiley in the background is defending. There is Sutton then going through, still trying to edge his way forward. As now, look, Rainford gets ahead of Ingram. So a place change. That's for 5th. Charles Rainford goes by, and Tom Ingram not making life overly difficult. He does not want to get caught up in dramas as Jake Hill rejoins. Daryl DeLeon, look in the background, is still in the pits.
Yeah, so not a good start to the race weekend for BMW and West Surrey Racing for sure, with problems for 2 of their 4 cars. But Rainford making progress, passing Ingram.
Indeed so, and if Sutton can go forward and others can shuffle Ingram backwards, that's going to help him as Senna Proctor there gets onto the back of Aidan Moffat as they come up towards the timing line. Rowbottom is now coming under attack from Chilton. They duked it out on the first lap. Cammish is getting away up the road by the tune of over a second, and Chilton so nearly to the inside line there, but he couldn't quite get across in time. Now he does try and commits the issue. Rowbottom squeezes him up the curb, and Chilton keeps on coming. He forces the door open, gets his shoulder against it to force it open there.
Yeah, he got his tin opener out, didn't he? That was the only way you could describe that. He just was easing Rowbottom out all the way from Paddock up to Druids, and finally got the door open. And having opened the door, teammate Morgan tries to get inside, has contact with Rowbottom, and that drops him back a further 3 places, but of course advances that man Ingram.
And we understand that Aidan Moffat has had a spin up at Druids and rejoined, as there is Charles Rainford also getting ahead of Adam Morgan. Charles Rainford topped his group early on in qualifying and then faded a bit, so he started 8th, but he's pushing forward. So there he goes then. It is Cammish the race leader. It is Chilton now up into second place. Rainford is going to be 3rd, Morgan 4th. 5th now it is Ingram, and then the Napa Ford of Rowbottom I think is next in the queue, but Sutton's not far behind either. There is Rowbottom, then you've got Lloyd, then you've got Shedden, and there is Sutton. What can Rowbottom now do to help Sutton, to help him get up the order? Well, if he helps him, he sacrifices his own chances against Cammish for third in the championship.
Exactly, all these inter-battles going on, and in the battle for third, obviously, Cammish is leading that by leading the race. His rivals, Jake Hills, had a puncture and dropped to the back, and Rowbottom's dropped further back as well. So you're absolutely right. In that battle, it's advantage Cammish, but what can Rowbottom do to maybe help Sutton?
As up towards Druids goes Charles Rainford, under attack from Adam Morgan, whose brush with Rowbottom may get looked at. We'll see post-race. Right now for the championship, it would be 37 points between Ingram and Sutton, with a further 44 available at the end of this race. Along Cooper Straight they come. Sutton knows exactly what he's got to do, and it's very difficult to get up the order because he's got the racy M Sport engine Toyota of Gordon Shedden there just ahead of him. And remember that Sutton comes into this with, like Ingram, a negligible amount of boost. 1 lap available for Ingram, 2 laps available for Ash Sutton. And of course he wants to use that at the very end. So what he's doing now has got to be on pure pace and pure racecraft. Yeah, he hasn't used either of his laps so far, but he's probably in danger of ending up in a situation where he's only racing against cars who have got boost as well at the end of the lap, because they've all got more than him in front. Silverstone winner Sam Osborne and Josh Cook getting ahead of Mikey Doble then. So that little battle is for 13th, 14th, 15th as they squabble their way up the hill. In the independent standings, it's Dan Lloyd 10 ahead of Mikey Doble at the moment. Further 6 back is Chris Smiley. It's advantage Lloyd, of course. The best of those on the medium tyre right now is Ingram. He's 5th. The second of those on the medium tyre, Shedden 8th, and then third medium tyre runner Sutton 9th overall. Yeah, so England doing a good job on that medium, up to 5th place from the starting position and looking comfortable in that position. Race leaders go by, 4 in the book. Rowbottom does the fastest lap of the race, so certainly no serious damage incurred in that little battle with Adam Morgan and the contact. Charles Rainford is now going to be ahead of Daryl DeLeon, who has not yet got into the race as far as the Jack Sears Trophy is concerned. The Jack Sears Trophy named after the first and a double British saloon car champion Jack Sears, former president of the British Racing Drivers Club. Charles Rainford 12 ahead of DeLeon, Sam Osborne 3rd. We work lap 5 of 15 and Gordon Shedden being given a driving standards flag for track limit offences. Cammish is the leader by a second and a half. Yeah, well, not a disaster, but certainly advantage for Charles Rainford in that Jack Sears, and he must have thought that his advantage wasn't going to come with DeLeon on pole, but it swung the other way. And there is Sutton, look, coming under attack from Aaron Taylor-Smith. So Ash Sutton not going forwards. Now he's having to defend because ATS is crawling all over the back of him. We know what a feisty racer Aaron Taylor-Smith is. As I say, it's been an up and down sort of the season for him. He is better than the results across the previous 27 races would suggest. But right now, he's certainly giving a tough time to Ash Sutton, 2nd in the championship. Yeah, well, Aaron Taylor-Smith, of course, has got maximum number of laps with boost. So there's going to be a lot of defending from Sutton on the laps when he's not using it. And by defending, he's going slower, so he's falling back, isn't he, from Shedden. Sutton then comes out of Clark Curve. All of a sudden, though, Chris Smiley... Chris Smiley gets himself onto the back of Aaron Taylor-Smith. So that distracts Taylor-Smith a fraction. It gives Sutton a bit of breathing space. You're on board with Smiley, up to paddock now. Great on board, Paddock Hill Bend, one of the legendary corners on the touring car schedule. Does Smiley get alongside sufficiently? He does, and it's made very easy for him in actual fact. Out of the corner comes Ash Sutton. Chris Smiley through that, having gained the place in that Restart Racing Hyundai. They won the independent teams title at Silverstone, and it's been a great season for Pete Jones's team. Now Smiley, who's been an outright race winner in the past, tries to get up the inside of Sutton there, diving into Surtees. Had a good look, but Ash able to fend him off. So Sutton is 9th, Ingram is 5th. It's very much advantage Ingram. Very much so. He's extending that 33-point lead. He needs 44 at the end of this race if he were to secure the championship now, but that isn't happening at the moment. As Dan Rowbottom is under attack from Dan Lloyd. Snetterton revisited, although that was for the race lead. There you've got Sutton going through ahead of Smiley, so Napa forward versus Restart twice here. Yeah. But of course that Hyundai is very quick anyway, isn't it? Yeah. It's a quick car, it's quick in a straight line, very aerodynamic. With the boost as well on the laps that Smiley chooses to use it, it's going to be all Ash Sutton can do to keep him behind. down towards Clearways, and Clark Curve they come. Meanwhile, Dan Cammish is being caught by Tom Chilton. The gap was down last time for the lead to 7/10 of a second. Chilton having done the fastest lap of the race, and now Rainford has done the fastest lap of the race in third. That means the leading three are covered by 8/10 of a second. It's concertinaing for the race lead as they head into Druids. This is coming out of paddock. Sutton versus Smiley. Smiley thinks about the inside, he commits, but Sutton's just able to cut across and defend.
But Chilton is bringing Rainford and Morgan with him, so rather than it being a single car attack on Cammish, which would be better for Chilton, if they all end up bunching up together, that could help Cammish. But he did have a 2.5 lead. That's been halved.
Indeed, and Rainford takes that point for fastest lap. In other words, he also takes it away from Ingram, takes it away from Sutton, down towards Hawthorns. This is the lead battle, and in fact, having said it was concertina in 1, 2 and 3, make that 4. There's Adam Morgan, he is catching as well. This is Tom Ingram, championship leader 5th. Dan Rowbottom in the background will be 6th as he comes into view, bringing with him Shedden and then Sutton. There is a mechanical warning, a meatball flag being shown for Aidan Moffat. He had a spin up at Druids early on. There's a drama with Moffat's car. He's going to have to pit. And that's another WSR BMW bound for the pit lane.
Yeah, usually that's for bodywork hanging off. His other teammate, Daryl DeLeon, hasn't come out of the pits. If they'd have thought they'd fixed the car, they'd send it out to try it out, but he hasn't come back out. But that battle in front is concertinaing nicely and giving Ingram a lovely space in which to click off his laps. He's got no one directly behind him. He can watch the action in front of him. Look, there he comes into shot now. Nice, comfortable place to be for Ingram.
Big effort to be made there, though, on the inside line by Gordon Shedden, who beautifully goes ahead of Dan Lloyd. And interestingly, that's medium tyres passing softs.
So maybe the softs are going off on Dan Lloyd's car. He was incredibly quick at the start, wasn't he? Maybe he took a little bit too much life out of them, and this is the crossover point. Although the lap times are still extremely quick. Remember, Rainford actually set the fastest lap on only the last lap, so quite well into this race.
And the driving standards flag now for Josh Cook for track limits. Josh from the back of the grid is up into 13th. Jake Hill, by the way, still 21st after the pit stop because he lost so much time coming back into the pits. He really needs a safety car to give him any sort of a lifeline. Aidan Moffat's just rejoined, by the way, and we are currently on lap 8 out of 15, as you see there. Sam Osborne going through ahead of Mikey Doval. He was ahead at the start of the lap. Doval had got up alongside, but Sam Osborne on the back of his Silverstone win reasserts himself.
Yes, the Power Max team soldiering on. Osborne gets very wide on the exit of Hawthorns. But Power Max have announced this week they're going to be building brand new cars for next year, the Audi S3 Saloon. And that will be a welcome return to the championship, at least for that brand. It's not a factory team, but the team, Power Max, are going to build 2 brand new cars. And if you align those with new cars from Jason Plato, the championship looks pretty healthy for next year.
It's going to be fascinating, isn't it? As across the line then goes that lead battle. It's down to half a second between Cammish and Chilton. Rainford is still 3rd. Morgan is ahead of Ingram for 4th, and it's Rowbottom 6th. Shedden's back up to 7th then ahead of Lloyd, and then it's Sutton versus Smiley to round out that top 10. Race leader Dan Cammish, interesting as to where all the time has gone to, but maybe this is just him looking after the softs. You said yesterday that punctures can be an issue at Brands, and we saw it early on with Jake Hill for whatever reason. Yeah,
the interesting thing as we near the end of the race is who's got what boost left. And of the front group, Rainford and Morgan both have 5 laps each. Cammish has 3, so 1 more than Chilton, who has 2. But Rainford and Morgan are the ones with the most.
Now you also saw a moment ago Josh Cook getting up into 12th place at the expense of Senna Proctor, so 22nd to 12th for Josh Cook, and on the medium tyre. Okay, he's got truckloads of boost, but he's on that theoretically slower tyre, and it's been a good showing as you expect from Cookie.
Yeah, he's probably going to use the medium again in the next race and hope for a good reverse grid slot to then use his softs. So reverse engineering his race weekend or his race day after a problem in qualifying.
And there was an engine change overnight as well after that oil pressure issue yesterday. Senna Proctor has been given the track limits driving standards flag. We're on lap number 9, and a drive-through penalty now for Aidan Moffat. Aidan Moffat gets a drive-through. We'll double check as to why, as the race leaders come up towards us and to the eye. You would suggest that Dan Cammish has stretched the margin again.
Yeah, that gap has definitely gone out, hasn't it? It's now 0.8 of a second, 8/10. So Cammish appears to have the pace to hold off this charge. He did use boost on that last lap, I think. Maybe. Oh, he's still got 3 laps left. Still one more than Chilton, so that gap is genuine on pace. And
we're being told pit lane speeding for Aidan Moffat. So when it's not your race, it's not your race. Aidan's had a pretty torrid season, all told. So a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane for Aidan Moffat. We're on lap number 10 as you look there at Josh Cook getting himself now onto the back of Aaron Taylor-Smith. They're both on the mediums. Aaron then chasing on behind Chris Smiley, who is in 10th place. So the Toyotas are squabbling for 11th. And there, Mikey Doble, look, back ahead of Sam Osborne then. Doble's on the softs. Osborne is on the medium tyre. They've been trading the place, and Mikey Doble back up into 14th.
Yeah, so a good battle there, but of course Doble is behind his rivals in the independents. He's behind Dan Lloyd particularly, who's leading that in 8th place of the championship runners.
Indeed so. As you look there at the Chilton-Rainford situation for 2nd and 3rd, Cammish last time was 8/10 of a second ahead. And it does look as though he's building the gap yet further. Driving standards flag next to Dan Rowbottom for track limits as he hustles on in 6th place. Possibly feeling this is one that got away, but it wasn't a mega start, and Cammish has done a really impressive job. He's been able to control things up front, stretching the margin when he needs to, and he's still got 3 laps of boost available, and the gap is up to 9/10 of a second. Although in fairness, some of that's being helped by the fact that Chilton's now going slower by defending from Rainford.
Yeah, we saw a very defensive line into Paddock from Chilton and again into Druids, so that's really helping Cammish stretch that gap. As the charge from Chilton to take the lead has gone, it's more about defensive 2nd place.
On to Cooper Straight. Chilton then goes to the inside to try to cover off a move from Rainford. Morgan gets up the inside of Rainford as well, and he's going to go through for 3rd. Good move by Adam Morgan that. Rainford slightly hung out to dry on the outside. Another run between them. Rainford gets spat out onto the dirt. Adam Morgan goes through for 3rd. That's the 2nd brush he's had with somebody at Surtees, but Adam, who was Team Virtue's bin man this morning when we saw him in the paddock pulling out the rubbish, he's getting out his elbows as well as the rubbish, and he's up to 3rd.
Well, that, yeah, we saw him putting the rubbish out, but that I wouldn't call Rainford rubbish. I don't think he deserves to be treated in the same way. But that's a questionable move nowadays. Under the current racing rules, you are supposed to leave a car's width of room on the outside of the bend. So in the old school racing, that would have been fair and in love and war to shove the car out wide. But I dare say that Adam Morgan maybe called in to see the clerk of course here, Watson, for that. And certainly if you're Rainford, you'd be jumping up and down and screaming, he pushed me off.
Indeed. So this might rumble on, is what we're saying, as up towards the line then comes Cammish, and Chilton still in 2nd place, and the margin is back up to 1.2 seconds. It's Morgan 3rd ahead of Rainford, it's Ingram 5th ahead of Rowbottom, but maybe not for long in Dan's case, because Gordon Shedden is right there behind him. Now, Shedden, don't forget, medium tyre, Rowbottom soft, and Shedden's car all of a sudden looks the demonstrably quicker of the 2.
Yeah, very much so, doesn't it? It's come on very strong. This has been a great 2nd half of the year for Speedworks and the Toyota Gazoo Racing. Whether you can account all of that to the switch of engines or just getting to develop the car, but Shedden's been very strong 2nd half of the year.
As indeed, and you can also see that pace further back from Josh Cook, 22nd to 12th with a new M Sport engine put in overnight. We're on lap 12 out of 15, and Rowbottom's 6th place may not last to the end. Now, we've not touched on Ash Sutton for a while, but there he is, and he's about to go a place down against Chris Smiley. That is bad, bad, bad news for Sutton.
Just purely lack of laps with boost. But I guess you could say next race he'll have a load more laps, but unfortunately he really needed to be on the podium or win this race with a problem for Ingram, and that just hasn't happened. Ingram has maintained that 5th place all the way through this race on the medium tyre.
And with only 1 lap of boost, he's got even less available than Ash Sutton has, but Ingram has, as you say, maintained that 5th. He's a 2nd up the road over Rowbottom. So it's been another excellent effort by Tom Ingram in that Hyundai. Spencer Aldridge, his long-serving engineer, overseeing everything from the pit wall as the Restart Racing Hyundai of Chris Smiley then now up into 9th place comes through, and Ash Sutton's frustration is going to be palpable as Gordon Shedden again has a look to the inside of Dan Rowbottom into paddock. Couldn't do it. Lap 13 now.
Yeah, and Sutton hasn't used his boost. He's got the 2 last laps, 14 and 15 if he wants to do it. He's now back up the inside of Smiley into Druids, trying to get that place back. Smiley all the way around the outside very nicely, actually, with good grip all the way around, and then claims the line into Graham Hill, turn 3.
So what can Sutton do? It's going to be a full send up the inside. Smiley will know what's coming as they accelerate along Cooper Straight. At the same time that Sutton's trying to regain the place, he's also got Aaron Taylor-Smith behind him, looking to gain a place from Sutton. So this is a really tough battle to be in.
Yeah, and Josh Cook as well right there.
Yeah, Sutton's mate of years past. So here they come down to the right-hander of Hawthorn. Chris Smiley going well for 9th place.
Gap at the front has stayed at around that 8/10 mark, so barring a mechanical or a puncture, it looks like Cammish has controlled this race really well.
Yeah, it's been a really impressive drive, hasn't it? It's stretched out and then it's decreased again, but Dan has always been in charge. Chris Smiley has been on the outright podium this year. He's heading for 9th at the moment. He's got Sutton behind him. This is Ash's View, who's running out of laps, not only in the race, but in the championship, to do anything about Tom, and he'll know that.
Yeah, he'll be feeling pretty depressed inside the car, I can tell you. That little bit of luck that he needed, and misfortune for Ingram just hasn't happened. And he hasn't had the pace to go forward, largely down to lack of boost, I think. Meanwhile, these two are still scrabbling it out, aren't they, over 2nd place, Chilton and Morgan. Rainford has dropped away, actually.
Yes, he has. He's never been able to make up the time, has he, after that contact with Morgan, which may be because of a bit of damage if the tracking or suspension was tweaked. But right now, Morgan on the back of Chilton, the two Team Virtue teammates going toe-to-toe as they accelerate in these prepare days out of Surtees. And further up the road, you've got Dan Cammish there now on his 14th and penultimate lap there, working his way past the Nick Halstead Vauxhall Astra to lap him. 2nd and 3rd is together. Sutton, though, is back ahead of Smiley, who ran a bit wide coming out of Graham Hill Bend. Ash Sutton has retaken 9th place. Every little counts at this point, and Taylor-Smith comes up to have a go, does get on the inside of Smiley, have a big think about it, and then realised that wasn't on either for Aaron. But Cook is alongside Taylor-Smith. Look at the two Toyotas trade paint, and Cookie goes through. Really opportunistic move, brilliant.
Yeah, great stuff. That was good racing. Well, Sutton decided not to wait till the very end. He actually used his boost, and that's probably what got him back in front. And I think that was a good move.
This is the replay. Ash Sutton ahead is the sideways Smiley. That's why he ran wide at Graham Hill Band. And Chris having a big moment. He tried to come across and defend, and Ash says, no. I'll be taking this line, thanks.
And if you listen to the throttle, there wasn't a hint of a lift there from Ash Sutton. He kept his foot absolutely on the bulkhead.
So gained him a place, as right now we're on the last lap of race 1 of the day here at Brands Hatch, and Dan Cammish has stretched that margin again. It's 1.2 seconds as you see the battle for 2nd place. Tom Chilton ahead of Adam Morgan, who's got rather fed up with being on the podium but not on that top step, but it ain't going to happen in this race. And there is Tom Ingram further enhancing his chances of taking a 2nd British Touring Car Championship title. He's 5th and Sutton is 9th. Good drive by Cammish in the lead though.
Yeah, excellent drive. But of course Ingram's done this as well using the medium tyre. He's the first of the medium tyres, so he's also got the advantage of the soft tyre to come. So it's all falling Ingram's way so far.
Sometimes you need the luck to ride with you, and it has happened for Tom pretty much over the course of the season. I'm struggling to think of the bad day that most drivers suffer at least once over the course of the season. Tom, I don't think, has had that bite in. He comes through Westfield now, then edging nearer not only to the back of the Power Max Astra to lap it, but also towards yet more points for the championship as he comes towards Stirling's. Out of which Dan Cammish is heading for a 3rd victory of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship season. There's one corner to go. There's the run up towards the timing line. He's on the headlights to the team. It is round 28 of the championship, and it's win number 3 of the season for Dan Cammish. Dan Cammish wins race 1 of the day. Tom Chilton takes 2nd, just a 10th up on Adam Morgan. Charles Rainsford is 4th, and Tom Ingram 5th across the line from Rowbottom, Shedden. Then it is going to be Dan Lloyd to win the Independence contest, and Ash Sutton will be 9th at Flagfall.